Hello, divine beings. Thank you so much for dropping by. So, God bless Tantra. So smart, so wise, so based in the truth of life and the truth of our own experience. And God bless Tantra. It's not a belief system. So I'm going to give a little talk, but the beauty is you can look inside yourself and in your own very direct experience, figure out if what I'm saying is actually true or not. No metaphysical speculation required. So, what are the driving forces? I'll speak for myself. What are the driving forces in my life? Well, after a deep, long search, um, what I've come to the conclusion is the two primary driving forces in my life are the desire for happiness slash pleasure and the desire to help others. Everything I do is motivated by one of those two things, and in my good moments, both. And if I'm really honest, there's so many forms of what, of course, having been on the spiritual path for a while, the idea that it's possible to experience eternal happiness um, is something I've striven for and wanted for a very long time. And then striving for that, I was humbled to the point where I needed to admit, it's kind of a funny thing, I needed to admit, there's actually intimacy, that's the pleasure, that's the happiness that I want more than anything. Now, as an immortal, eternal soul hanging out in a male body, sometimes whether or not the soul has gender is still something I'm exploring. I tend to think the higher self does, but again, that's metaphysical speculation, and we'll leave that for people who like to metaphysically speculate. So being in a male body, the way that desire for intimacy shows up is through just an intense desire for sexual intercourse. I think they've done studies. The average male thinks about sex I think it's something like 400 times a day, and not just. It'd be different if the average male thought of being sexual in all its various ways, but it's like 400 times a day when I'm not really living my tantric path and moving that energy. I think about having intercourse 300-400 times a day. Sometimes oral sex too, but primarily intercourse. So, and I'd be very curious to hear from the women out there. My sense is that that very same impulse to connect and for intimacy shows up in women just more through their heart. Is they want connection and intimacy and depth, and they probably think about it and yearn for it probably 300, 400, 500 times a day. Not that they don't. And not that men don't yearn for that kind of intimacy, and not that women don't yearn for sexual intimacy. It's just, well, interestingly enough, some systems of Tantra say that women extend through their heart and men extend through their vajra, through their penis. So it's very interesting that, as a man, it's like, well, I think I want intercourse, and I do, but maybe what I really want is to extend my love, to share happiness, pleasure, joy. And physiologically, that's the way this body is designed, and this energy system is designed to deliver. And maybe women aren't yearning so much to be loved, obviously they are, but to extend that love to their heart chakra. So, and different men and women are different. different flavors of these two deep yearnings for intimacy. So that's our desire for pleasure, for happiness. But what about this other prime desire we have? To help others, to give to others. And what if this desire for intimacy is intimately linked with that? As we just noticed, maybe men are actually wanting to give pleasure, and maybe women are actually wanting to give love. Well, God bless Tantra, and especially Tibetan Tantra, which recognizes that an essential component of who and what we are is the desire to contribute. In specific Buddhist language, it's the desire to attain enlightenment so as to be able to liberate others. And so when we bring sexual Tantra into this, then what we come to is the desire to engage sexually for our own liberation so that we can liberate others. That becomes the fuel for our life. To literally, they have a technical term, bodhicitta, the compassionate or awakened mind, the mind that wants to awaken so as to awaken others. Not just to awaken for our own peace, but to awaken to liberate others. Then you bring sexual desire into that. That can really fire up a life. So this is it's a very deep topic, how the two interrelate, but this is just the beginning of looking at our primal drives. That appear different, this desire for intimacy and this desire to contribute, to serve, and in an ultimate sense to save. It's a very dangerous word on a human level, but on an absolute level, it's a very beautiful word. And that maybe they're not so different, and that we can begin to go through our lives and dedicate our lives to our own awakening for the salvation of others, for our own liberation, so as to be able to liberate others. And then we begin to bring our sex drive into that, and our desire for sex, and to take it to the place of only wanting sex for healing, for awakening, for liberation, for what I'd call actualization, actually becoming a Buddha, for the liberation of all beings. How yummy is that? To only want eye gazing so as to awaken us and to heal us so that we can become Buddhas and liberate others. To only want tantric union, not because it feels good, which it does. Thank you, God. Thank you, Buddha, for giving us a path that feels so good. Feels, let's be honest, feels the best. Wanting tantric union with another for our own healing, our own liberation, our own actualization, and to be of service, and as an act of service for the ultimate service, to liberate others. I'm sorry, that got a little convoluted. Let me state that again. Only wanting tantric union with another for our own healing, our own liberation, our own actualization, and only wanting healing, liberation, and actualization so that we can become fully liberated so that we can liberate others. Lust for enlightenment. Lust. Become a liberated being so that we can liberate others. Delicious. I wish you a lust-filled day, and may your lust and desire begin to be oriented in the direction that brings you and everyone true happiness. Much love.